Trade just went down in the NFL, and it's Brandin Cooks headed to the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are just spending a fifth and a sixth to get him. This is very impactful for the Cowboys and potentially fantasy football because Brandin Cooks is a field stretcher who's very nuanced. He can put in the slot and outside. He's very versatile. He can get downfield. So this is a player that can command air yards. He had over 1,000 yards in 2021 with Houston and had 1,000 yards with multiple different teams. And when it comes to transitioning to a different team, this is the player you want because he transitions pretty quickly. Transitioned quickly to Patriots, to the Rams, to Houston. This guy's been very impactful. He is getting older. He's 29 right now, so he's not getting younger. He's a player that is going to age on this team. But again, when it comes to the price, good for Dallas. But when it comes to the downfield threats, he's getting air yards. He's going to clear things out for CeeDee Lamb. Going to make things a little bit easier for Dak, especially if he's on the field. He'll be able to be in the slot. He'll be able to play on the outside. He's a very nuanced player. He's got a my ball mentality. One of the top wide receiver prospects coming out of that lucrative 2014 wide receiver draft class. He's one of the few ones still kicking it from there. And he's going to finish his career as a Cowboy, more than likely. But with him being a second to third option in the passing game, depending on how they transition this, Brandin Cooks is a good get. So when I look at this team here, Michael Gallup probably down, but maybe a cheap buy low. You're just going to have to kick the tires. Brandin Cooks' value is not going to jump up there, really, in Dynasty. So you're probably going to still catch him on the cheap. The thing about him, he's probably going to be week to week where you're chasing the air yards. Probably going to be a fun DFS play throughout the season. So a guy you want on like the back end, the mid portion of your roster, where you're just throwing in your lineups here and there and plus matchups, but could be a little bit more depending on the volume of the passing game. Remember, we're down at the running back position here with the Cowboys. Zeke is gone. Pollard's coming back from injury. They're going to draft some running backs in the draft. They're going to draft some running backs in the draft. And I say plural. It could be a mid-rounder, late rounder, early rounder, mid-rounder. It's going to be something like that. They do have a history of this, but the history is far away. But it could happen. And this is the draft to do it with. So expect that. Expect them to get some bodies in there from this year's draft. I expect them to use the passing game a little bit, even though on the offensive coordinator standpoint here, we're looking at a slower volume, slower paced offense. Again, air yards are going to increase in this offense due to we got this weapon that's going to push it downfield a little bit more. This is going to allow CeeDee Lamb to work underneath, to do his thing a little better. So I look for Lamb to really oscillate where he's at. I look for Cooks not to jump up in value too much. He probably still will be cheap. If anything, they're going to look at this news and think this is a good time for liquidity, and you might be able to catch a deal more often. And usually when this happens and you kick the tires, sometimes you still catch that player at a discount. He was at a big discount here at Houston because he was quiet quitting, had some injuries last year. That was his down year, 699 yards last year. But prior to that, though, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. What I like about this is this really helps out the Cowboys offense. When we look at Houston, they're just building. They're retooling. Really shouldn't expect much. I like Nico Collins, especially for the short term, possibly long term. I really want to see what the quarterback position's like, but they got a lot of stuff to do over there. This is a good football move for Dallas. This is a good football move for Dallas. Fantasy-wise, doesn't move the needle. It gives you some buying opportunities for some cheaper wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb doesn't change much. They're going to do something with the tight end position. Dalton Schultz is still floating around there, so they might catch him back on a cheaper deal. That's something that might happen here next few days or weeks or so, or they might hit that up in the draft. But if they sign him, then that's one draft slot they don't have to allocate to the tight end spot either. So it really depends on the market and price with that situation. So we might see him come back, might not. But either way, they're bringing somebody else in there, but they might roll with what they got too, because they were getting some production out of their other tight ends there. So that's something you want to look at. But I look at Cooks, downfield, field stretcher, also going to be moved in and out, also very nuanced still. Good get for the Cowboys. Also for fantasy, you're chasing air yards from week to week, DFS play. You're not looking at him to be a solid wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 for your fantasy team. Those days are over. but still holds value from a week-to-week standpoint, especially for DFS, and especially if you're playing DFS with your group of wide receivers on your Dynasty team. You just have a pool, and you're just playing the matchups with. That's something you may want to look at. I think the price is still going to be cheap. I think it's going to be easy get. I think Gallup's going to be a really easy get if you like him. I think his price is going to dive down, which is good if you want to get him. I think Dak's got a little bit more stability here, and I think CeeDee Lamb, it's going to make it easier for him to work underneath and do all the stuff he likes to do in the short to intermediate parts of the passing game. I want to hear your thoughts below. I just got the text. I just got the notification. Fired up the camera and started talking, so I guarantee there's stuff I'm missing here, but I really wanted to get on here and start talking while the feelings were up here in my throat, ready to get out onto the camera. Hit that subscribe button. I'm here to help you out with your Dynasty Fantasy Football teams, building them, rookie drafts, everything else in season. We got you on your starting lineups. I want to thank you for watching, though. Catch you on the next video.